to TCMLive. I am Larry.
And I'm Leslie.
And we want to welcome you to this very special webisode because they're all actually really very special. But you're going to like this one because we're still talking about relationships.
We are.
Yeah.
And today we're talking about how God's relationship with us is more than a hookup.
Yeah, and I really like that title because it really just pops out at you, Leslie.
It really does. And sometimes we just pick our titles because they're catchy. No, we always pick our titles because they have meaning.
Yeah, because if you look at it, you know, in this world that we live in, relationships, there are so many relationships that's basically what they are. They're hookups. Whether you're talking about the real dangerous type of hookup or whether you're just talking about, you know, you latch onto somebody to use them for a ride or whatever you can get out of them and then you're gone.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what we're going to be talking about because, you know, a lot of times we'll tend to see God in the wrong way.
Right. We'll have this idea of, well, I have him when I need him. But if I don't need him, then I'm not going to call on him. But when I need him, I'm going to call on him. So he becomes more like a hookup.
Yeah.
You know? When we're stressed out, when we're afraid, when we feel helpless and we don't know what to do, automatically we're going to think about God.
Yeah.
But if things are going smooth and
Not
we
so
have
much.
a great relationship
Yeah.
and we're doing pretty good in school, not so much.
Yeah, we don't tend to really think about him. We're like, okay, we've got things going the way we need them to go. God, you know what? Thank you. Don't have time for all that Old Testament or New Testament stuff. So I'm just going to do my thing and still say that I'm following you, but I really don't have time for you. So we really need to recognize that how we see God is actually very important. And this is going to be cool. I need you to stay with me just a second, okay? How we see God is important in how we think God sees us.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of fear in that, right, Leslie?
There is a lot of fear in that. And the thing is, you know, when we see God like a hookup and we think, well, I just have him when I need him, we sometimes think that God might see us as a hookup. He might just see that, you know, God says that he's there, but I'm not really doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm not really following the 10 Commandments. I'm not really, you know, reading my Bible like I'm supposed to or praying like I'm supposed to. So I'm sure God's going to move on. I mean, how many relationships did we have when we were younger where we were like in this relationship and we thought, oh, this is so great and this is so cool. And then before you know it, Bobby's checking out the girl in the shorter skirt and you're like, hey, Bobby, I'm still over here. And sometimes
You're speaking from personal experience, aren't you?
Exactly, but I've changed the name so not to incriminate those who were involved.
Yeah, but you know, that is so right, too, because we look at God and we think, okay, I'm sure God is going to be like every other person that I've had a relationship with. And some of you guys, you may have never thought about this before, okay? You're at school, you're at work, wherever you're at in your life, no matter what age you're at. You may have never looked at your relationship with God and think to yourself, you know what? I'm basing what God thinks of me upon fear. The fear that he's going to treat me the way I treat him or the way I treat my friends or the way my friends or my family treat me. Because, you know, if I tell someone consistently the right thing to do over and over again, there's going to come a point with all of us where we just sort of wash our hands and say, you know, I can't do this anymore. You're not listening to me. You're not doing the right thing. I can't be around you anymore. But God is not like that. And you have to realize that fear that you have there, it's unfounded because God is the essence of love.
Absolutely. And God is not human. You know, we talked last week about how, you know, we sometimes view him through the eyes of how we see our parents and how our parents treat us. And he's not human. He loves us unconditionally. And we don't know what that means and we don't know what that looks like because we haven't really seen that expressed in our life. But God does love us unconditionally. And yes, I mean, it's not cool that we're not reading the Bible and we're not getting to know him. But the reason why it's not cool is because it's not helping us any. Yeah. God wants to get to know us personally. You know, he's more than Bobby. You know, Bobby moved on and he went off to that relationship and, you know, I don't even know what happened there. He probably married that girl and good for him. But God is different than that. He wants to get to know us. He wants to spend time with us. He wants us to get to know him. And the only way that we really can do that is by spending time in his word, like really reading the Bible, not just reading the Bible because your Sunday school lesson is on such and such chapter and they say open it up and read here, but reading the Bible because you want to get to know God in relationship. I mean, how great would your relationship be if you just talked to Lisa whenever things were, you know, really horrible?
Yeah, it wouldn't be very good at all.
It wouldn't be very good at all. I mean,
No.
how great would it be if you didn't even talk to her or address her or think about her unless you needed her?
That would be pretty horrible.
It'd be pretty horrible.
It would be selfish and one-sided.
It would be selfish and one-sided. And we don't want to have that kind of relationship with God because He doesn't want to have that kind of relationship with us. Yeah. He loves us so much that He wants to have that intimacy with us. Yeah. And He wants to spend time with us. And He wants us to spend time with Him.
Yeah, like you're talking about Bobby. And I'm sure some of you won't get this reference, some of you might, but I'm sure his last name was McGee. And Janis Joplin, who was a singer back in the day, very tragic story, but she had a song called Me and Bobby McGee. And one of the lyrics, here's a horrible Janis Joplin impression, was, love is just another word for nothing left to lose. And that's the way we look at it. Love is nothing more than just a word for nothing left to lose. Right? And I mean, at the end of the day, you ain't got nothing left to lose. You just got love. We put love really at the bottom of the pile.
Right.
And some of them are just clicked off to go to YouTube to check out Janis Joplin, right?
Yeah.
But see, here's the thing. In 1 Corinthians 13, God says this. This is Paul writing to the church at Corinth. Says this. It's talking about love, but what we're going to do here is we're going to substitute that for He, talking about God, okay?
Yeah. And as you listen to this, I want you to think that this is how, when God says, I love you, this is what He means. This is what love means through the eyes of God.
Yeah, it doesn't mean there's nothing left to lose. I want you to listen to this, of what God is and what love is. He is patient and kind to us. He is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. He does not demand His own way. He is not irritable and keeps no record of injustice.
No, but He rejoices whenever the truth wins out.
Yeah.
And He never gives up on us. And He never loses faith in us or with us. And He is always hopeful. And He will always endure with us through every circumstance.
His love never fails.
Now that's a bit of a paraphrase from 1 Corinthians chapter 13, but read it for yourself because that is the kind of love that He has for us. He is patient with us. When we're not doing what we're supposed to do, when we've got our eyes off of Him and we're doing other things, He's not giving up on you. He's not moving on to Sue, who's reading the Bible every day and praying. He's not saying, I love her more than I love you, so I'd rather spend time with Sue. Yeah. He's still right there beside you saying, I want to get to know you. I want to spend time with you. I'm patient with you and I love you.
I was just speaking last night to a girl that had some suicidal tendencies. And what I hear so much in things like this, I always hear the same statement. I can't feel God. I'm cloudy in my life and I can't feel God. I think it goes back to that whole fear that God has left, God is mad at us, and God is not speaking to us. And that is so not true because what you've learned here tonight, God is more than just a casual, fleshly, random hookup relationship.
That's right. And, the enemy is really good at lying to us. And one of the greatest ways that he lies to us is through fear. So when you have that fear of God, and not a healthy fear, it says in the Bible, the fear of God is the beginning of knowledge, but that's talking about reverence and respect of God. But when you begin to fear God, oh gosh, what's He going to do to me? What does He think about me? Is He going to punish me? Is He going to, remove this person from my life? That is not the thoughts that God would give you. Because God loves you. And God would only do anything for you and on your behalf. If He removes someone from your life, it is because that person wasn't healthy. Yeah. But God is always going to be there for you. And if you begin to have those feelings of fear and doubt and disappointment and faithlessness about God, I can guarantee you those thoughts are not from God, but those thoughts are untrue and they come from the father of lies, the devil.
Yeah, so here's what we want you to do. We want you to look at the relationships in your life because you see, you produce what you are. Do you want to produce random hookup relationships in your walk with God or with other people? You've got to get in the habit of having positive, healthy relationships. So, take these words from us. Remember this as we leave here, this webisode, wrap up, done, but the words live on. God is more than a hookup, and you are not alone.
That's right.
We'll catch you next time, guys.
We love you.